Let's start with a blank canvas. You can keep it any size and dimensions. It doesn't really matter, as we just need it to test out our brush settings. I went for the default screen size here. So go to Presets, select Screen Size, then press Create, and that's it. Tap on the brush icon, and you'll get the basic brush selection menu. On the top left, tap on New. This will create a new folder where you can place all your custom-made brushes. Type in a name for your folder. Now tap on the plus icon on the top right of this menu. This will create a new brush. Type in the name so that you can identify the brush later on. I'm making an oil paint kind of brush, so I'll name it Ani Oil Paint Brush. Under the Style dropdown, you get all the options you already see in the existing brush categories. Let's select Paintbrush. Now we're left with two more options to select, Head and Texture. The head is basically the shape of the tip of the brush, and the texture is, well, the pattern that shows up in the brush strokes. In the head section, you'll see a lot of different shapes you can select from, or you can upload your own image. In the texture section, again, you can select from their presets or upload your own image. Let's select this one for now. So your brush is now created. Now all we need to do is adjust the settings as per our liking and save the brush. You can try out your brush on the canvas in real time to check the effects of your changes. The brush settings are divided into 5 parts: stroke, head, texture, paint, and special settings. Let's deal with them one by one. Size. This defines the size of the tip. A small size would be suitable for brushes like pencils or pens that we use for drawing and inking. Let's keep a moderate size here. Opacity. It's basically the transparency. A low opacity will be good for a watercolor brush. Smoothness. This smooths out irregularities in your paint strokes. Very useful in pens or inking brushes used for line art. We won't be needing that in an oil paint brush. Adhesion doesn't seem to make much of a change, so let that be as it is. Size range. This defines the minimum and maximum size for the brush stroke. Wet edges literally means the same. The edges of the stroke look darker, as if using watercolors. Useful if you're making a watercolor brush. We'll keep this off for our brush. I'm not sure about the effects of this particular mode. You also have the option to select blending modes, just like layer blending modes, like using multiply for darkening strokes like a marker pen, or screen lighten for a lightening effect. Now in the dynamics section, we have size dynamics and 3 options. Pressure. This means the size of the stroke will vary depending on the pressure applied with the pen stylus. You can adjust the line on the graph to get your desired result. velocity. This means the size will also vary with the speed of your stroke. As you see, the size reduces when I speed up my brush stroke and increases when I slow down. You can play with the graph to get your preferred result. Tilt. This means the tilt of your stylus will affect the size of the brush stroke. I generally keep this off. It can be useful in a pencil brush when you want to tilt your pen to shade large areas, just like a real pencil. Just keep the offset as it is. Continuous jitter. This means the size will jitter continuously as you draw a brush stroke. It gives a more rough-edged effect to your stroke. Profiles. This basically applies the effect across the stroke, from start to finish. That is, from the moment you touch your pen to the screen until you lift it. For example, as per the settings right now under the size graph, we get a stroke that goes minimum, maximum, minimum in size. You can play around with the graph to better understand how this works. Head section. This section gives you options to make changes to the tip of the brush. On the top, there's a source button. The source is basically the image that defines the shape of the brush tip. You can still tap on this image and change it as per your liking. There are two options to the left of the source, invert and color. I'm not sure what changes these make. I tried fiddling with the settings but couldn't figure it out, so I'll have to research this more. Under Style, there are three options in the dropdown: Normal, Glaze, and Glow. If you select Glaze, the brush acts more like a watercolor brush. Glow gives it a glow effect. Flow. This defines the amount of ink or paint flowing through your brush. A low flow means less ink, and a high flow means more paint. Spacing. Increasing this spreads the tip image out more. Decreasing it tightens the stroke. If you feel there's no more space left on your canvas, just click on the tick mark to exit the settings. Go to the Layers panel and clear the canvas to get a blank one again. Okay, let's go back into the brush settings. Head section, bottom half. I don't want to space out the head texture too much, so I'll keep a value of 9%. When I move the structure slider, you can notice a difference in the top left thumbnail preview. Some fine details start to show. I think it gives the stroke a more 3D texture. If you zoom in, you'll notice a kind of beveled or embossed texture on the stroke. Softness. This gives softer or harder edges to the brush tip. Angle. This rotates the image used as the brush tip source. Rotation. This rotates the tip according to the direction of your brush stroke. Under Dynamics, you can control flow and scatter with respect to pressure, velocity, and tilt of your stylus, just like we did in the stroke section. Play around with the graphs for your desired effect. Initial jitter. This means jitter, like angle variation, will apply only at the beginning of your brush stroke. Continuous jitter. The jitter continues throughout the stroke. Texture. Just like the head section, here you can select the image for the texture applied to the brush. We selected this earlier, but you can change it anytime. Depth. More depth equals more texture visible in your strokes. Dynamic depth. This links the depth to pressure, velocity, and tilt. Jitters. We don't need to jitter the texture. It's best to keep it static. Scale. Set a proper scale for your texture to get a consistent look. Now let's move to the paint section. The first setting is mix-in and dilution. Mix-in basically controls how the brush is going to blend two different colors when painted over each other. To demonstrate this, I'll change the brush color and show you. Let's pick a bright pink color and paint over this gray patch at the bottom. As you see, I'm not painting anything visible on the canvas. That's because the mix value is too high, and the brush is only mixing the color instead of painting new color on the canvas. So we'll have to reduce the mix-in value and check again. See how the pink color has mixed well with the gray color I painted earlier? Under the blend section, there's blur, pull, and flow. It basically does what it says. It blurs the paint while it mixes in. The pull value defines how much the brushstroke is going to pull the pixels from its surroundings. When you paint a brushstroke between two colors, the paint from one side is pulled over to the other side, thus creating a blend. Sample lower layers. Now this is an important setting to consider. What this basically means is when I paint on a new layer above an existing one, will my brush strokes blend the colors from the bottom layer and all the layers below my current one to create a new blend? Let's see this practically. Create a new layer by tapping on the plus sign. Select a vibrant blue color and then paint. As you can see, when I paint on top of this yellow and pink area, the blue doesn't mix in with the pink and yellow. Now, I go and turn on the Sample Lower Layers toggle. Let's paint again and see. Now it's sampling the data from the lower layers as well, and we get a nice smooth blending of color. Initial jitter. Now this setting is actually very useful while painting traditional style artwork. I'll show you how. We have three sliders here: hue, saturation, and brightness. You can create a jitter for these three to get variations in the hue, saturation, and brightness with each brushstroke, giving you a very painterly feel to your artwork. Every time you make a new brushstroke, the hue value is changed randomly within the limit you define here. For example, if you are using a blue color and set the hue jitter to something around 20%, then every time you make a new paint stroke, you'll get a random color from the proximity of blue on the color wheel, like teal, green, dark blue, light green, and so on. Similarly for saturation and brightness. The same concept in continuous jitter means it will continuously vary these parameters even before you make a new stroke. This setting feels a bit more unnatural, so I prefer using just the initial jitter. Now for the last section, that is the special section. Here, you can set the brush as watercolor, screen tone, or even apply filters and special effects to your brush. There are a lot of possibilities to explore here. Maybe I'll make another brush in a future video just for that. So there you go. We've quickly gone through all the brush settings in Infinite Painter, and we've created this beautiful oil paint style brush, which I might even use entirely to make a new painting in the next video. Do try out all the settings and experiment with creating your own brushes. If you're facing any issues, please leave a comment below, and I'll try to help you out with the settings.